Hello, everyone. I've opened the gates just a couple minutes early, so we'll give everyone a few minutes here to settle in, get their calendar reminders, maybe grab a little snack, and we'll get going in about 3 minutes. So hang tight, you will be hearing from me very soon. And thanks for joining. All right, we are at the 1 minute warning. One more minute, and we will get this show on the road. All right, hello, howdy, and hi. A big hearty greeting all the way from Calgary, Alberta, Canada, where unfortunately we do have snow on the ground. Judging by your time zone, I'm hoping things are a little bit warmer for you folks right now. But my name is Curtis Stohaniak, and I am a product expert with Replicon. And today I will be your guide and host on our feature webinar presentation, Uncover Huge Profits with Accurate Project Time Tracking. So we're going to see how tracking all of your project and non-project time can really help you to understand how your hours can work better for your organization. So just a quick look at our agenda. So first we'll take a look at an overview of some of the problems that some organizations face when it comes to tracking their time. And then we will look at how the Replicon platform can solve these and help you uncover huge profits with all this accurate time tracking. Then we'll hop into a very demonstrative and thorough demo of the platform, so you'll get to see everything in action. Then we'll take a look at a few customer transformations, and finally we will finish off with a Q&A. So a couple of housekeeping notes before we keep rolling on. Throughout this presentation, you will be on mute, but don't worry. If you have any burning questions that pop into your brain at any point in time, feel free to submit them in the question box at the bottom of your screen, and I will get to them all at the end of the presentation. So don't feel like I'm ignoring you. I'm not. Just trying to keep everything rolling along. That being said, if there is some unmitigated disaster, my screen turns black, maybe my voice disappears, or something disastrous like that, just let me know, raise your hand, and then submit a question, and then I'll know that I have been sucked into a black hole and I need to fix things so everyone can see the presentation. But otherwise, we'll just keep things rolling on their merry way. So at Replicon, Not only do we believe that people's time is a strategic asset, but it is your most important asset. Time is finite. You only have so much of it available. And so once it is used up, you are not getting it back. So you have to treat it like the precious, precious resource that it is and manage it so carefully. And exactly how much time do you have at your disposal? Well, that depends on the size of your organization. So keep this 500 employee tally in your brains for a little bit later because we're going to come back to this. But with 500 employees, you will have 1.04 million hours available to you in 1 year. With 5,000 employees, you'll have 10.4 million hours in a year. And with 50,000 employees, you will have 104 million hours available to you annually. And that is so much time. It's too much time for one person or even one department to manage it. And it's just so difficult to understand what all this time is doing for your organization. And what makes it so difficult to keep track of everything? Well, one reason is time is fragmented and tedious. So as you can see by Frankie, our poor Franken system here, he has so many moving parts and they don't necessarily fit so well together. We have ERP, CRM, PSA, HCM, payroll, and project management who are all trying to send and receive information. And it doesn't always work so well, especially when you have on-premises data and databases and on-premises hardware. And let's just say not everyone in the workforce is on premises right now. So this means trying to get your time data to and fro can cause a lot of problems. It can cause mistranslations. It can go missing. It can be ending up in places it's not supposed to be. So we just need to ensure that our time is not fragmented and tedious. We need one place where it can be stored to make everything just so much easier. And when it's not in one central place, well, we face a lot of challenges. We have costing and billing delays, future pipeline growth, decreased profitability, inability to plan to capacity, costing and billing errors, and low utilization rates are just some of the main examples. And as you can see with our photo here, so many headaches. But before we continue, I actually do have a poll question that I'm going to launch. We're always so curious to hear from you folks. We really want to understand what everyone uses their time data for so that we can make Replicon the best possible platform for everyone involved. So here you can choose all that you apply, but we want to know, what do you use your time tracking data for? Is it for project job costing, internal client billing, external client billing, time and attendance for payroll, and tracking employee productivity? Now, we're mostly going to be focusing on the billing side of today, but this will kind of just give me a better idea of what everyone is looking at to get out of this webinar today, and also just helps us to tailor our platform to what people are actually using it for, right? It's always good to get out in the field and get everyone's opinions. We're halfway there. I'll give everyone just another couple seconds here just to get those last minute votes in, and yeah, then I'll reveal the results. I know everyone's probably waited with bated breath, but okay, we're going to finish this off in 3, 2, 1. I'll end the polling. And it looks like our winner was project job costing. So we do have a lot of weekly webinars that I'll talk about in a couple minutes here, but we do cover other parts of the platform as well. Replicon is all encompassing. We do so much. So if you don't see what you're looking for today, just let us know and we can give you a customized demo to show you all of Replicon in action, because today we're focusing mostly on the billing. But again, we can do so much more. And it looks like you guys are all using time for a bunch of different things. So we'll cover as many of those things as we can today. So at an organization, you have tons of different roles. There's finance leaders, there could be operations leaders, delivery leaders, resource managers, billing leaders, and HR leaders, and they all need to use time for different reasons. But what doesn't change is that they need an accurate source of this time, because if people are using time from different locations or translating it differently, then that can lead to errors across the board. And if there's no uniformity, then it causes problems and can lead to inconsistent data, and inconsistent data doesn't mean efficiency, it means problems, headaches, as we saw before. So that is why we have Replicon's Time Intelligence Platform, the powerful platform for all of your time tracking needs. So you will hear me say this more than a couple of times today, but Replicon is so configurable. Almost every aspect of the platform can be changed and modified to meet your organization's specifications. And one of the ways that we can change is in size. So we are scalable. So whether you are that 10 employee startup or that 1 million employee established organization, we can grow and evolve with your company because we know things are changing on a dime and we have to be ready for those changes. So Replicon can adapt. And another way that we can grow and change with you is by being global and secure. So Replicon has a setup with multiple locations, languages, currencies, pay rules, time zones, holiday schedules. So regardless of where you have employees on our big planet, you will have a Replicon instance that is configured for their exact needs. They're not going to feel like they've been shoehorned into a solution that works for maybe North America, but maybe not South America. Everyone will have the platform that they need to operate as efficiently as possible. And to make that efficiency a reality from wherever you are, we have our mobile app. So we did not just simply take our desktop platform and port it over to our cell phones. No, we created our mobile app from the ground up for ease of use in mind because we know if time is easy to track, then people are more likely to do it. And we know the frustrations of trying to remember what you did during the day, maybe keeping manual notes in a journal or a diary. I know I don't think you would keep that in a diary, but just trying to track everything that you would write down during the day. And then when you finally get to a computer, it's not fresh and it may be inaccurate. You're not tracking it down to the minute. So by having this mobile ready, we can really ensure the accuracy of all of your time data. And another way that we make this easy for everyone involved is through artificial intelligence. So whether you're an administrator or an end user, there is artificial intelligence in our platform to make your job easy. So for example, we have our chatbot that you'll see a little bit later, but chatbot can help with streamlining processes, answering questions, and a whole bunch of other things. And we'll visit that again a little bit later in our demonstration today. And finally, Replicon is plug and play. So we are an open source API, which means you can send and receive data from any solution in your ecosystem so that you can be sure that Replicon can easily get the time where it needs to be. And you can get project information, invoicing info to Replicon so you can ensure, again, seamless transition of all the time that you need to be transferred to where it needs to be transferred. So at Replicon, we have our platform that is made up of multiple solutions. These solutions cover projects like time and billing, project time and costing, and project resource management. But we also do cover things like time and attendance and compliance, workforce management, and global paid time off. And if there is something that you don't see today, because we're going to be focusing more on that time billing, you can always tune into one of our weekly webinars where we'll be covering these topics. We also have other monthly webinars that cover a variety of other topics. And of course, you can always get in touch with us and we'll answer any questions if you don't want to sit through another one of my webinars. We can get right to the point and we can help you one-on-one to really find out how Replicon can work for your organization. So here's a quick review of everything we will see in action today. We're going to look at how Replicon can help you with accurate project time tracking. We're going to show you how we can help you enhance your real-time estimates versus actuals, maximize your billable hours and utilization, help you with project and resource forecasting, show you how global, scalable, and mobile-first Replicon truly is, and finally, we will give you an example of our powerful analytics and integrations. And I know everyone is really excited for the demonstrations, but I do have one more poll question that I'm going to launch here quickly. Again, gathering information so we can make Replicon as awesome as it can be for everyone. So we want to know, do you track all of your employee hours? So you track time against billable projects only. We track time against both billables and non-billable hours. We track all project and non-project related time today, or we track time for attendance and do not need the details. So this is something we're going to dive into in just a couple of seconds after we get the votes in. But I mean, every organization is different. People will need to track time for different reasons, but understanding how to track time efficiently really can help you enhance your, again, performance of your organization. Because, for example, tracking against billables is only part of the stories, or tracking project and non-project related time, again, just part of the story. So we can really dive into all this project information and understand how Replicon can help you uncover those hidden profits that you already have waiting for you. We just have to kind of open that gift and give it to ourselves. And it looks like the votes have all rolled in. I'm going to close off the polling. Again, thank you for exercising your right to vote. And it looks like the majority of you are tracking all project and non-project time today. Perfect. So you're going to see how Replicon can really help you enhance that tracking overall. And if you don't use it for that, well, then we'll maybe discover something new today. And so the moment you have all been waiting for, the platform. Da, 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 da. So at Replicon, we know there is so much information constantly being fed into your organization at any given time. You have to keep track of hours, you have to keep track of cost, expenses, vacation time, time off, sick time. The list goes on. And not only do you have to keep track of all these hours, but you have to understand which of these are project time, non-project time, billable hours, non-billable hours. You have to know which of your hours are working for you and which of your hours are maybe working against you. And we do that and display all of your information, transform these hours through our dashboards. So our dashboards are the living, breathing culmination of every piece of data that you have put into the platform. So not only are we going to help you track every single hour, but we're going to transform it and display it in a way that allows you to understand exactly how your organization is doing. And by transforming this data, you can make the best decisions. So like we said, we can help you track every single hour, whether it is work time, time off, your dreaded overallocated hours, and your estimated hours. But we can take that a step further and take a look at how it looks through our productivity filter. So here we break your time down into project time and non-project time. And obviously project time, the more the better because that's where we're making our money. And at first glance, our overall productivity looks pretty good. 89% project time, 11% non-project time. At the surface, looks pretty solid. But when we break that down even further, things are not necessarily as they seem. So, as an organization, a good utilization rate to shoot for is about 70%. And this utilization rate takes into account your project time versus your non billable project time and your non project time. And as we can see, although we do have a lot of project time, our billable hours is only 57% of our total hours that we are spending as an organization. And then the rest is that non billable or non project time. And this means this is time we are not spending making money. Obviously, you have to do administrative tasks, but we want to keep those to a minimum. So, what we are trying to do with Replicon now is understand where these hours are coming from and how we can fix this. And we can see this in real time and how it affects each and every project that we have in our organization. So our project analyzer will break down all of our projects and we can quickly see that there are a couple projects that are starting to run away from us. So we have our project time on our dashboarding where we're starting to get a little bit of a runaway project here with a lot of non-billable hours. Same with our evaluation of billing systems, evaluation of financial reporting tools, and evaluation of analytic tools all are starting to get away from us because we are logging too many non-billable hours and very likely making these projects not profitable. So again, this is a good reminder that we need to start turning things around if we want to be making money on these projects. It looks like overall we're doing pretty good, but there are some projects that are bringing down the average, which is always important to fix. But that being said, we will not be able to track any of this project information unless we have the project information in the platform. And as I said before, so Replicon is open source API, which means you can send all of the project information if you have your own, okay, this always gets me, project planning program. Nice. You can actually import all of your data directly to Replicon and it will be visualized just like you see here. But if you don't have a project planning program, that is okay too, because like I said before, Replicon, so configurable, and we can make all the projects that we need directly from the platform itself. So right off the bat, we'll be given options in our project menu here, like program, billing type, billing rate, time period, time and expense entry, total contract value. And that is just the tip of the iceberg. Because like I said before, we do understand that things are changing, things are constantly in flux. And what this project looks like now may not look like this in a week, a month, a year, 5 years, if that's how long the project is. So we need an adaptable platform that can change with us and this project. And so once this project's actually created, we'll still have lots of things that we can edit if we need to, like our cost type, time and expense entry, invoice currency, total contract value, estimated hours, costs and expenses. The list goes on. So you can be sure that Replicon is always able to grow and evolve with your organization. And to better understand how we're going to be logging our time in these projects, it's good to understand how they are structured within the platform. So if we start at the top of our project structure, we have our programs, and those are the larger initiatives within an organization. Now, these programs can contain as many projects as you see fit. We can see our biggest one here has 10, or as few with our lonely sales and business development and administration. They only have one. But again, Replicon is all about whatever makes sense for your organization, so this is all configurable. Now, another thing that is configurable is what we see on these tables here. You'll see tables a lot in Replicon. All of these settings can be changed. So if you're feeling like looking at billing and you don't need any cost information, if you have it available to you, then you can turn all those off. And since we're focused on billing, we'll leave the table settings as they are today. And then maybe you're looking at this billing information and you see something that piques your interest, like, business intelligence practice has quite the high estimates. I wish Replicon could tell me more. Well, of course, Replicon can. It is the time intelligence platform. It can tell you everything you need to know. And if we see this lovely blue font, that usually means we can drill down and we'll be given a live feed of all of our program information. So here we can see hours, costs, billing, and resources. We can also see the breakdown of this program into projects. and we can see which projects have been assigned to me, which projects are in progress, completed, and archived. And we think it is so important to give you access to all of your information. Well, one, because it's your information and you should have access to it. But two, by having access to all of your old projects, you can understand where your successes were and maybe where your struggles were and build upon that in the future. So maybe if you were having problems with a certain role that you were resourcing and they were over allocated every time because they had so many projects to be assigned to, and you can start to understand maybe where your hiring needs are, or maybe you can understand which tasks are consistently making you go over on your time. So by digging down into these past projects, you can better plan your future projects and again, be more efficient, plan more projects in a year, and uncover those hidden profits. And again, just like our programs page, we have tables. We actually have a host of information, even a little bit more here that we can sort through on these tables. And if something piques our interest, we can always drill down again too. So I want to find out more about our highest estimated billing on a project, and that's our financial data reporting fixes. And again, real-time information on hours, cost, and billing. And anytime you enter an hour into our platform, these charts and our dashboards that we saw previously will be updated in real time so you can understand the effect that every single hour that you enter has on your organization. So here we have a good look at our actual versus estimated billing. And in this time period, we can see things were looking actually pretty good. Our actuals were way higher than our estimates, which means we're billing for more than we thought. And that's a good sign. We're making progress on this project. But judging by our histogram, things do not continue along so swimmingly, and it looks like we start to have estimates with no billing, projects stalled out, and then we can start to see some sporadic billing that doesn't quite line up with our estimates. But if we saw that a little sooner, or we start to see the trending downward, then that's a good indicator that we can fix things, because we can look at these on a daily or a weekly basis, and if we start to see trends that are similar to previous projects that we've planned, then again, that's a indicator that we need to start adjusting things, move around our resourcing, finishing off tasks so that we are finishing these projects on time. And we did not just want our projects just to be a checkbox on the timesheet, because there is so much more to a project than just the name and the overall kind of scope of things. So we break our projects down even further into tasks, and tasks are the nice digestible chunks of a project. They can be broken down into complex or simple task trees, again, whatever makes sense for your organization. And we can also assign estimates to all of these tasks. And estimates are important for a couple of reasons. One is they help you, well, understand when this task should be completed. So if we're looking at interviewing, we're 46 out of the 50 hours done. That's 92%. And if that is in fact the case, then we can start wrapping things up and moving hours into other areas, maybe like implementation. It looks like we are slightly over our estimated hours. So it looks like we really do need to close out this task and finish things off if we want to be finishing this project in any semblance of what is to be on time. Now, what these tasks also allow us to understand is where our strengths and weaknesses lie as an organization. So if our user training is consistently coming in under our budgeted time, only 125 hours out of 200 hours, then we can start building down those estimates in the future. And by building down these estimates, we can start planning more projects and have a better idea of how many projects we can plan in a year. And on the flip side, if we are constantly having thorns in our side when it comes to implementation, then we build up those estimates. And again, then we're not running long and we can more accurately predict how many projects we can plan in a year. So tasks are so valuable in just understanding how your organization handles different tasks within projects and better plan how you can allocate your resources. So far we have looked at how we plan our projects within Replicon, and now we need to get a team working on them. And this is shocking, I know, but it is done in the Team tab. So our Team tab will give us a nice summary of everyone who is assigned to this project, but it will also demonstrate the permission-driven nature of Replicon. So in this example, I can drill down into Tammy Benson and I can see every project that Tammy Benson is assigned to. Now she will only be able to see this project information, nothing else. Even if it's in the same program, Tammy Benson will only have access to these projects. And then on top of that, Tammy will only have access to the project information that we have given her access to. So in this instance, we can take a look at billing rates, for example. And these billing rates can be adjusted on the fly, so we can change the rate at any time. We can remove these from the project. We can add new rates from the project. So again, things are able to ebb and flow. And these are the only project rates that these users will be able to log on their timesheets. So again, we're restricting access. We're ensuring that our timesheets are accurate, and we can actually set up start and end dates for these billing rates as well as these tasks. We can actually set up the tasks and billing rates to change based on the start and end dates. So again, we're ensuring our users only see what they need to see. They're not being over inundated with information, maybe selecting things wrong. You have exactly what they need to be logging their time for on their timesheets, and then you can be assured that it's going to be accurate. And this level of permissions drills down even further into user roles. So within Replicon, we can batch assign roles to users on an batch assign or individual basis, and we can actually assign specific roles like a client representative. So Stacy Olson doesn't actually work for Replicon. She is one of our clients, but she still needs to approve timesheets, and we know how painful that can be if you're using separate systems or trying to go through email. Information get lost, it's not as secure, and it just causes a lot of problems. And again, you don't have all your time in one central location, which causes these translation errors. So by having this client representative role, if Stacy has to approve any time, she'll get a push notification or email. She logs in, she sees, Alan McDonald submitted a timesheet. She can drill down into that timesheet and decide whether she wants to approve or reject this timesheet. And this really speeds up the process. You're not chasing anyone down. Stacy knows exactly what she needs to do, and if she has the notification, she can approve or reject this on the fly. And what you also notice is that Stacy does not have a very large access to our system. So she is only accessing the information that we've given her access to, which is these timesheets and nothing else. So we again ensure that our information is safe, secure, and that Stacy only has access what she needs to access. I do have a question. I'm going to save them all. Yes, Jim, we can send you this video in a recording. It'll be sent out sometime tomorrow, Canada time. So hang tight, and if you have any more questions, we'll save them all for the end, but rest assured you will be getting a recording of this webinar today, so don't worry. You can share it with anyone who needs to see it, so you'll have that a little bit later. But back to our projects. So we were looking at how to staff our projects, and we just looked at how Stacy has all her hours allocated and her billing rates, etc. But we need to understand not only who is on a project, but how their time is being spent. So that is where our allocation tab comes into play. So our allocation tab will allow you to understand exactly how everyone on this project has their hours assigned. So we'll have a couple of different color codes here. We have our blue hours, which are hours that are allocated to this project. We have our gray hours, which are hours allocated to other projects. We have our two shades of green here that are hours allocated to vacation or time off. And we have our arch nemesis here, the little red triangle, that indicates overallocated hours, and overallocated hours are bad because that means overtime, and overtime is not very nice because that means increased costs, and that's what we want to avoid. And here we can see that we are not exactly being the most efficient for our allocations this month because we actually don't have any. So I would like to kickstart things right away here. So I think we're going to go ahead and add a user. So with our add user screen, we do understand that, well, there is a lot going on in an organization. And if you have hundreds of employees, thousands of employees, tens of thousands of employees, it can be very daunting to trying to find the right person for the job. So Replicon makes this easy. So we have tons of different filters so you can sort through and by department, skill, project, client, program, location, and really pin down exactly who you need for a specific role on a project. So in this instance, like for example, it's fun staying up with you guys, but we want all of our time zones to match up, and our client is in North America. So we're going to pick someone in North America, and I need someone with a very specific set of skills. We don't have Liam Neeson available to us. I do need a Sage architect though. Well, that made things easy for me. There is one person who fits all these parameters, and that is Alex Chu. But maybe there is more than one person who fits these parameters. We can actually assign different ratings. So based on their skill in Sage, if Alex is our Sage, then we can give him 3 out of 3 stars. And then we know we are assigning Alex to our kind of higher end projects. Or if we have some interns, or if we're just having some people starting out and their skills are not so developed, we can assign them a 1-star rating, and then we can put them on more of the entry level projects. So we always know we are putting the correct person for every single job on the project. And once we've added Alex, He will be updating our project page, and we can go ahead and allocate his hours just as easy. So we can allocate a specific hours per day, total hours per week or month, which we have set up monthly right now, or very useful is a percentage of his available hours. So we all know the perils of over allocation. That's no good. But there are also perils of under allocation, right? If you're not allocating your resources to their maximum, you're not finishing projects out as quickly. And by not finishing projects out as quickly, you're essentially wasting time that could be spent on other projects, right? And more projects means more money. So ideally, we want to be able to use all of our resources to their maximum so that we can be finishing out these projects and putting more projects on our plate throughout the year and increasing our profits. So by allocating 100% of his hours, we're not over allocating, we're not under allocating. We are ensuring that we are running along like a well-oiled machine at all times. And once we go ahead and add his allocation, this will have reverberations throughout our platform. So like we saw on our dashboards or our projects page, all of this information will be updated in real time. And this will reflect in our actuals versus estimates. And again, so we can understand exactly how every move will affect our organization as a whole. And to really drill down into that, let's just take, for example, if we broke this down into weekly hours, we can see that our weekly allocation is not 100% by any means. So some instances here, we have 32 hours, 16 hours, and that's not a great use of all of our resources. So let's imagine we were able to use Replicon to find 1 extra hour for every week of the year for an employee. Now, North America, we start off with 2 weeks of vacation, so we'll say 50 weeks. So 50 weeks at $300 an hour, 1 extra hour a week, that's going to be $15,000 for an employee in 1 year of extra billable hours just by finding 1 extra hour per week. Now imagine that across a whole 500 employee organization, that's going to be $7.5 million of extra billable hours just by finding 1 extra billable hour per week. And now in this instance, we're able to find 8, 11, we got another 8 here, 24. Imagine how much more efficient we could make our organization and how much more profitable we could be if we were just better able to allocate our time and resources more efficiently. And that's what Replicon is here for. We're really here to help you understand your efficiency and unleash your full potential. And if we really want to understand this full potential even further, we can drill down into our resources tab here. And this will give us a summary of how we have used everyone in our organization. So we can actually view their breakdown on specific projects. So we can see exactly how we've utilized Tammy Benson and maybe understand, okay, we have a specific role in our organization that is being overutilized and we're constantly finding that maybe Alex Chu, he's only Sage Architect, and if we need him in multiple projects, then he's going to be over allocated. Or maybe we had a specific project that had a couple of bad months or a couple of bad weeks. We can drill down to all these specific projects and see, okay, that was a bad week because we had over allocated or we weren't maximizing our user resource allocation and we had empty spaces here where Alex Chu wasn't working. So we can really drill down and understand exactly to the minute how efficient we are being allocating our resources. And maybe this was before Replicon. Now with Replicon, we can unleash our full potential, allocate 100% of every single resource, and ensure we are finishing projects in an orderly fashion. And there may be also times when we don't know exactly who or how many resources we're going to need on a project. So for that, we have our placeholder resources. So our placeholder resources take the place of a usual resource, but they have all the same things assigned to them like billing rates and skills. And if we're planning a project, we can start slotting in these placeholder resources, and this will give a better idea of how many hours we're going to use, our estimates, and maybe what our actuals might look like as well if we assign different billing rates. And then from there, once we decide, okay, we have these employees available to us, or maybe we need to do the training or hiring, once we actually do have those employees available, we can slot them in the spot of these placeholder resources. And we don't have to worry about any of our data being skewed or misinterpreted because Replicon's going to do all the hard work. It's already done all the hard work. You just have to put the resources in and then you're off to the races. Again, able to work on those projects and get them done efficiently. So far we have looked at the project structure within Replicon and we have looked at how to staff them. And now is the fun part. We get to log our time towards them. And at Replicon, we call ourselves the time intelligence company for a reason. Time is something we do so well. We have so many formats of timesheets that we could feasibly create an individual timesheet for every single user in your organization. So the timesheet that we see here is a little bit more of a project-oriented example. So here we can log time towards specific programs, projects, and tasks. And if you're one of those organizations with hundreds of different job codes, in tandem with our permissions, everything is searchable. So it's really easy for your resources to find exactly what they are logging their time towards. There's no frustration, there's no misclicks. They know exactly what they are logging their time towards every time. And once you have those selected, you can go ahead and start logging those hours. And there's a couple things. So based on the timesheet, we have a couple things active right now that will be giving us instant feedback. One of those being our target billable hours. So target billable hours are important because we want our resources to understand what is expected of them in a month or a year. We can change the setting again. And this puts them on the track to success because right now it can be difficult to see the whole picture, right? If someone's working from home, they don't know exactly what's going on with everyone else in a project or their organization. So here we are keeping them on the track moving forward and understanding where they are on their billable hours for the month or even on their project progress. And maybe I realize, oh man, October is halfway done, over halfway done now, and I'm only about halfway to my goal for this month. So this allows me to have a conversation with a supervisor or a manager and then fix things and get things on track before the end of the month when it's, the classic, oh, you missed your goal. Why? We want to be proactive with Replicon and we want to understand things before they happen. So again, we can uncover those hidden profits instead of waiting for the classic end of the month cycle and fixing things after the fact. That doesn't do anyone any good. So Replicon is all about being proactive. And again, that is the same with our task progress. So as we can see, maybe we didn't have this in place previously, but my resource can see 947 hours out of 150 hours on a task. That's not looking very good. Maybe I need to have a discussion, but I'll worry about that later, right? I can just go ahead and submit my timesheet. So I'm going to go ahead and try to submit this timesheet and we'll see what happens. I put in a lot of hours this week. Monday was especially tough, but we'll put that behind me. And so the first thing we'll see is an example of the validation rules within Replicon. So validation rules are certain parameters that must be met every single time a timesheet is submitted. And if there's things outside of these parameters, there'll be different things that happen. And these parameters cover things like minimum hours entered, maximum hours entered, hours during a rolling period, minimum or maximum time overtime for a day or a week, mandatory break enforcement. The list goes on. We have over 70 different validation rules already in our library, and this is constantly expanding. We can also work with you to create custom validation rules. So again, whatever makes sense for your organization. In this instance, I forgot to accept this attestation, so I'll get a soft reminder here to go ahead and accept and submit if I want to submit my timesheet. And we'll let Replicon work its magic, and I'm going to give you a hint. I thought I would deal with this problem later, but I actually have to deal with it right now because my timesheet was rejected. So my time entered for financial data reporting fixes implementation has exceeded the estimated 150 hours. So our goal with these validation rules is again to ensure the accuracy of all time being submitted. And if I want to go ahead and submit this timesheet now, I'm going to have to talk to a supervisor or a manager. And maybe they didn't realize that, oh my gosh, implementation is out of control right now. So now I have to bring this up to them and we can fix things again before they just sit on them and things get dire and dark and disgusting. And then we realize, man, we have been wasting so much time and we should have fixed this ages ago. So now we have this validation rule in place and we can change this parameter to be 100% of our estimated hours, 150%, but it will reject this timesheet. And it also saves our approvers so much time with the back and forth asking, does this need to be fixed? Yes, to what? This. It's just a headache. It makes me nauseous just thinking about it. So we are putting the onus on the end user to correctly enter their time. And if there is something not right, then they have to discuss it with someone. We can actually drill down even further into all these timesheets and really get a good understanding of our whole organization with our Timesheets tab. So every timesheet that has ever been created, whether it is not submitted, rejected, waiting for approval, or approved, will all be housed in this Timesheet tab. And again, it's so important to access your information in case there's ever a dispute or an audit, or someone just wants to understand where they spent their time in a specific week. We can always drill down to all these timesheets. Now, this is a little daunting. So to make things easier, we have everything organized in our team tab. So if there's any timesheets that need approving by you, you will get a push notification email and they will pop up on this team tab and everything you're responsible will show up here. And like I said before, Replicon is capable of so much. So here you can see on my team tab, we actually cover time punches, crew time. We have all of our timesheets, we have our time off and our expenses. So there is so much that Replicon is capable of. We only have time to focus in on the billing, but you really have one central dashboard for all of your time related information. And so here I see I have a couple timesheets. There's only two, so I can drill down a little bit further. We'll actually see a couple of different examples of timesheets with my two users here. So Chris DeFonte has a little bit more of a basic timesheet, and for many organizations, this is all they need. So he's just entering the number of hours that he worked per day. But unfortunately, Chris has entered too many hours. He's entered more than his time period, 40 hours. So maybe in the last instance, we saw my timesheet was rejected, but in this instance, we know this might happen, and this is a possibility that his time will be over. So we allow this timesheet to be submitted, but we will be given one of these warnings. And on that previous timesheet page that we saw, it'll actually pop up too, so we can see exactly which timesheets have any of these validation warnings triggered. But here, I can see he's entered too many hours, and if I need to adjust things, I can reopen the timesheet and adjust them. But like we said before, we want to put the onus on the end user. So I can actually give Chris permission to reopen this timesheet for the week. He can drill down, adjust anything that needs adjusting. Everything will be logged in this approval history on the bottom here. And then again, in case of an audit or dispute, we can always go back and understand exactly what happened during this time period. Now, a little bit of an opposite example is we have Chris Jones or Kurt Jones, and Kurt Jones has a little bit more of a complex timesheet. It's also a little bit more customized. So here we can see that Kurt is logging the exact hours that he worked during the day. You can also log hours towards multiple projects or time towards meal breaks, as we see here, or whatever break you have in your organization. Also logging his time towards activity, task, and project. We also have a couple custom fields on the end here. So one of these is comments. And right now, comments are very important. We might not have communication with all of our employees on every single day right now because they might be working from home or I might be working from home. So by having this comment section, we can really keep up with our employees and see where their struggles and successes are and help them to be the best they can. And another custom field we have here is mileage, and we can see that this mileage could say mileage, it could say units completed. We could have photo proof of the work done during the day. But what we're really trying to demonstrate here is that every single one of these timesheets, not only can we make a timesheet for each individual user, but we can make an individual timesheet for every week of that user's year. So maybe there are some weeks where Kurt's working from home, Kurt will be working from the office, Kurt will be working from the road, and maybe there's some weeks where he's going to be working from all three of those locations. We need to have a flexible timesheet that can adapt to any one of his situations. And within Replicon, you can make as many timesheets for as many users as you need. And you can have these validation rules that can be activated or deactivated as you see fit. So in this instance, Kurt didn't enter his comments. We find them important. We're going to have a discussion with him. If he forgets to enter comments on the next week, we can actually reject this timesheet outright. So instead of this soft validation warning where he's still able to submit it and we're just notified, we can actually change it next week to reject so that he really understands the importance of entering these comments. So we are able to adjust these timesheets to whatever our needs may be. And we wanted this ease of use to transfer over to our mobile app. So just give me one moment. I'm just going to switch my screen here. So we built our mobile app with ease of use in mind for everyone. So as soon as we log in, we will be greeted by Chatbot. As I mentioned earlier, Chatbot can answer questions, streamline processes. Chatbot can also look very cute and greet us, but unfortunately, Chatbot, I don't have so much time for you today, so we will have to look at you another day. But what we're going to focus on right now is the ease of use of our mobile app. So with Replicon's mobile app, we support multiple types of timesheets. So we didn't cover this so much today, but Replicon does cover time punching. So I can actually clock in and clock out right from my punches here. We can actually mandate that a photo must be taken. Hello, everyone. Sorry, a little scary. It's a little bit late. And as well as with my geotagged location, so you can understand exactly where I'm clocking in or out from. And this is a little bit of an atypical example, but we do also have access to a more traditional timesheet as well. Usually you'd have one or the other, but just for demo purposes today, we're going to show you both. And here I can log in, and just like I could on my traditional timesheet on my desktop, I can log time towards a project, program, everything is searchable. I can select tasks if applicable, activities. I can enter these hours across the day. And once I go ahead and add these hours, I can add the time entry and that will be updated in my timesheets. And if you're offline, this will be synced as soon as you get online, so everything is available to all users at all times. And we wanted this to be just as easy for administrators. So anytime there is a timesheet or expense or time off that is being submitted, you get a push notification or an email. I can log into my Replicon app and I will have access to my dashboard. And here on my dashboard, we have a couple of things that cover time punches, but again, we're not covering that so much today, but there are lots of options for time punches and validating those to ensure they are correct. But here I can see I have a couple timesheets waiting for approval. Let's refresh that. I don't need all 117 of those. Perfect. So we can see Tammy Benson been logging some hours in the couple of weeks. So let's drill down and see exactly what's been going on in these timesheets. So we could see Tammy Benson, 8 hours per day, 40 hours per week. Kind of looks like business as usual. And in this instance, we can actually go ahead and approve this timesheet if we see fit, but we can also set this timesheet to approve automatically. And since we have our permissions and validation rules in effect, we know this time is going to be accurate and clean. And if we're setting these to approve automatically, just think of how many timesheets you're not going to have to go through. We know they're correct, we know they're clean, and if you have 100 timesheets being approved automatically, that is 100 timesheets that you don't have to approve manually. And that is so much time you're saving across a week or a year or 10 years. So by streamlining these processes, again, we can ensure that we're putting more time into those billable hours and focusing on the things that matter and not the mundane task of sorting through timesheets. That being said, if you still prefer a more traditional kind of timesheet sorting method, then you can go through one-step approval, two-step approval, 15-step approval. Again, whatever makes sense with your organization is what we can create within Replicon. So I'm actually just going to switch my screen back one more time here. So far we have looked at how we plan our projects, how we staff them, how we log our time towards them, and now we need to get paid for them. And again, this maybe is a shock, but this is done in our billing tab. So our billing tab will house every single billable hour in our organization. So whether it has been not invoiced, it's drafted, issued, or paid, we will be able to track all that information down here. And if we do need to invoice, we have a couple of options. So if you have your own invoicing program, you can actually sync up all of your invoices directly to that platform with a couple of clicks and our built-in connectors, which out of the box, we can connect with basically anything. And even if you have your own homebrew invoicing platform, Replicon can connect to it. We can work with you to make everything work so you can get your data where it needs to be. But again, if Replicon is one of the only pieces of your puzzle, then that's okay too, because we can create these invoices directly from the platform itself. And here we can actually change things like the layout, we can change templates, logos, the list goes on. So we can really configure these to our exact specifications. And these invoices are living as well. So maybe things change, maybe time ran a little long. We can log it here and that will be reflected in real time. We can also add line items like discounts. And then when we are ready, we can issue this invoice and email directly to our client. And again, update this status as it goes along, as it changes from draft to invoice to paid. We can update these in real time. So again, Replicon giving you full control over the project process and keeping track of all of your time data and keeping it in one central location. So far we have looked at how we plan our projects, how we staff them, how we log our time towards them, and how we get paid for them. And we have been putting so much data into this platform, and that is fine and dandy. But another part of the puzzle is understanding what this means for us as a company. And so there is a couple of different ways that Replicon can display this information for you. And one of those is through our dashboard. So like we said before, dashboards are the living, breathing culmination of every piece of data that you put into Replicon. Now these dashboards are highly configurable. You can edit them on the fly. You can add as many as you see fit. And they're perfect for exporting into slideshows, presentations for leadership, or just giving someone who wants to understand the health of an organization a quick glance at how they're doing. And if you're perusing these slides or dashboards and you see something that really piques your interest, maybe you want to find out more about a specific project that has a lot of billables, then you can see exactly where these billables are being logged. Tammy Benson working hard. And you know what? I'm sure Michael Lear and Gabby Mason are working just as hard, just probably on other projects. But here we're able to really quickly identify any outliers in our projects, give kudos where they are deserved, or maybe start course correction if necessary. And another way that we display all of your information to you is through reports. And I know you have all seen a report or 300,000 in your career. And that's because, well, reports are so important because they give us all the hardline data behind our organization. And just like our dashboards, these reports are highly configurable. We kind of have the laundry list of our most requested reports already built into the system, but again, you can create from the ground up or edit one of these already existing reports. And these can be scheduled to be mailed out daily, weekly, monthly, yearly to anyone with an email address. And you can actually configure the specific instance that you're running it. And if you need to, just like right now, we can run it on the spot. So one example of one of our many reports that we have right now is our project profitability analysis. So this takes our total contract value, our estimated cost and billing, and our actual cost and billing, smushes all this together, and we get our expected profitability and our actual profitability. Now, if things are not quite lining up to look good for us, we will see one of these full caps alerts. That means, guys, please fix this project. Things are not looking so nice. And again, we're able to identify outliers within our organization with just a couple of clicks. And finally, we understand that Replicon may or may not be the only piece of your puzzle. So that is why we connect to BI tools to really help you fully visualize all of your organization's information as a whole. So Replicon can connect to BI tools like Tableau, Power BI, and Google BigQuery. And all you have to do to get your information visualized, just like you see here, is log in through our connector, which is basically logging in through your Replicon instance and downloading one of the sample workbooks, and boom, you have all of your information displayed, and you can drill down even further into things like utilization, productivity analyzation, overhead analyzer, so you can really understand exactly how every single one of your hours is working for you. We're not just tracking them in Replicon, we're transforming them and helping you unlock all those hidden profits that you have within your organization. So that's going to bring me to the end of our demo. I know, very sad, but we only have an hour, so we got to keep things rolling along. So here is a quick recap of everything we saw today. Then I'm going to take a look at some customer transformations, and then I will open the floor to all of your questions. And if something doesn't get answered today or something pops in your brain a little bit later, you can always email me, but I'll cover that shortly. So today we saw Replicon is capable of so much, and we only just skimmed the surface. There is so much that Replicon can do for you. We can help you decrease your revenue leakages, increase resource utilization, decrease administrative overhead, increase average revenue per resource. The list goes on. What Replicon is doing is giving you one consistent source of truth for all of your time information. And from here, you can really enhance your organization's performance. So here's a couple of examples of what Replicon has done and continues to do for our customers across the globe. So before we have this 300 employee consulting firm. They had manual spreadsheets and homegrown systems that were not flexible. I know, shudder. Difficult to track and manage their cash flows, and shudder, inability to manage variable rates and billing a nightmare. That's not what we want. We want everything to be easy. And of course, this affected their profitability. But after implementing Replicon, they had a user-friendly interface that facilitated accurate and consistent data collection, improved their resource management, allowed for better staffing, and allowed for faster and more accurate billing. And as a result, really improved their organization's process, reduced timesheet and billing errors, and increased the amount of time that their consultants were being utilized. So overall, awesome success for this organization. Another example that we have here is an 800 employee computer software company, and they started off with an on-premises system and they continued with this on-premises system as they grew, but it was not really made for the organization size that it slowly grew to. And this made data collection cumbersome. It limited their insight, and when it came to tax time, claims were difficult because they were not accurately able to attribute their time towards specific projects or tasks. But after implementing Replicon, they had accurate and effective hours attribution for all their projects. They spent less time tracking and more time working, and this allowed for better forecasting. When it came to audit time, they were audit proof now. They were flying. And finally, this created this centralized solution so everyone could gather time information for what they needed it for, and they could be assured that it was going to be accurate. So Replicon is made up of multiple solutions. We kind of touched more on the time and billing today, but we can help you with so many other things. And there is something that really interests you about Replicon. Maybe one of these other solutions interests you, or you want to find out how Replicon can work for your organization. You can always contact me with any questions. My name is Curtis Dohaniak, and my email is curtis.dohaniak@replicon.com. Might be a little bit easier to copy down from the slide. The last name trips a few people up, but If you have any questions at any point in time, feel free to give me a line and I will get back to you as soon as possible.